Uh-oh, somebody's messing with the fountain.
Uh-oh. So scamps in Burbank did it again. Who put the detergent in the fountain?
Here's a visit up the tower at City Hall to the very top. And you can see it's a nice little perilous staircase going up there. It goes around and around. We had the opportunity last night during the thing to do the 440 up those stairs to get to the top in time to shoot pictures of the airplanes.
Yeah, two middle-aged guys sprinting up that tower is not a pretty sight.
It was all I could do to just focus the camera.
Yeah.
And here are some shots from up there. That's the balcony area, if you want to call it.
You were going to call it the battlements.
Yeah, I was going to call it the battlements. Anyway, those are some pictures from up there on top. And here, that's the pumpkin.
Who remembers the pumpkin building? Can I see a show of hands, please? Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. My father-in-law, I asked him about it. Yeah, it was a number of things. Herb Vincent, we asked. Herb, are you in here by any chance? Herb Vincent? Okay. He didn't remember it, and I'm thinking, how could you forget a building that's in the shape of a pumpkin? But there it is. That's a photo from 1927, and here's the inside. It looks like a swinging kind of place. You got guys in it. Looks like some sort of cat skin up there, and waiting to serve you. And there's a pumpkin meat promotional vehicle, old-time dance tonight.
I love those quality graphics on the car.
Yeah, nobody's sweetheart now, it says, and well, okay, 1930s. It was a real estate building that changed hands a number of times, various different things. Town called, okay, this is interesting. Valley Gospel, Town called Hollywood, 1938. And this is like a gospel call from Hollywood. Oh, it's an extraordinary edifice shaped like a pumpkin. Is yours for the seeing in Magnolia Park, a suburb. Upon it are painted three legends. One of the largest reads, the world's largest pumpkin. Another, Valley Gospel Center. And the third, for sale by owner. So it had issues. Now, Mae Williams, here's an interesting story. Who is Mae Williams? 1956, Mae Williams, a hard luck gal, hopes for a change of life. The singer purchased part of her ownership of Pumpkin Inn. She has a TV series of her own coming up. Nothing came of it because Mae Williams, it's one of these sad stories in Hollywood. Every time this poor singer was on the precipice of stardom, she'd break her ankle, or she'd get ill about something, or something awful would happen to her. It would kill her chances for stardom. So, but she's going to make it this time, yes sir. She's going to buy the Pumpkin Inn and make a success out of it. That didn't happen.
Here's another famous structure. Now, does anybody remember the Mushroom Burger place?
Burbank's Giant Mushroom? No one?
No one remembers.
No?
That's right where McCormick and Schmick's is, if you're familiar with it.
A somewhat more upscale eatery.
And we're still, because it doesn't look like there's a drive up, but it says it won't be long now. I thought that would be good for a drive-through, but...
yeah, we have no idea why that's there.
The crusty boys. You know, you were all at the party of the century last night. Well, this was the party of last century.
There it
All
was.
these guys sitting out there. I want to know why they moved the church pew into the middle of Olive and San Fernando Road. That still got me. Okay, the chairs I can see, but the church pew, I don't know where they got it.
That's my caption, bored young men blocking San Fernando Road. Big times in Burbank.
Big doings. Here's another long shot of San Fernando Road. I think this is a very popular shot.
Yeah.
At one point, we were doing a budget cover of retro pictures of San Fernando Road. If you ever get to look at it, the dog down there, we wanted to put him in every century.
Yeah, see if anyone... Oh, you own that dog, sir? Oh.
This is something probably well in that picture. On the building, it says real estate, which I think is Story's hardware.
Yeah.
On the upper level, there's a gas light sign that's a Masonic sign.
Yes.
And that's still over the Masonic building. So you can see it's still, the architect is still there.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that. Thanks. Mike, we got to get a picture of that.
Okay, guess where we're going after.
Gotta get a picture of that for Burbank? Yeah. Oh, this is my thing. I like our Russian films. And this is from a 1938 Soviet film called Alexander Nevsky. What does that cupola look like to you? What's a Russian helmet doing in the middle of Burbank, California?
Russian influence in Burbank in the late 1800s.
Yep.
Anyway, the Burbank block
Same picture.
just some close-ups here of San Fernando. This is Marie Rogan on horseback. That's all it said about her. We have no idea, really. And note the fountain behind Mrs. Rogan. The Women's Christian Temperance Union, an organization which developed to oppose the sale and consumption of liquor, erected a water fountain at the corner of San Fernando Road and Olive. It was watering trough for horses, cattle, and other animals. The fountain was near the Burbank Villa Hotel. From the history of Burbank, 1967.
Why would you want to drink when you could have water from a fountain that pours?
And here's the same building today.
Bottoms up.
Exactly.
The temperance movement just sort of passed, but now you can drink whatever you want at the cupola building.
And here we have Burbank's most notable house, the Rock House. Now, did you all know Henry Ford once spent an evening there when he came to town to inspect the Ford dealership? And you can't miss the Ford dealership. I challenge you to drive down San Fernando Road because it's still, the building is something else, but has the V8 logo that Ford.
Well, it's Arbott's Golden Palace, right?
Yes.
It's got a Ford.
But it has the Ford V8 logo on the front of it. The Ford is still visible on the wall behind Gordon Biersch. Also, if you've ever seen the open eating area they have there. And
Oh, this one's mine.
go ahead.
I told you I like films noir. I remember when I was 13, 14 years old, I stayed up late with my dad one night, and we watched The Postman Always Rings Twice. Great old film noir film, really loved it. Lana Turner. The following day, my father drove me down to Hollywood, where we looked at Schwab's pharmacy, you know, drugstore, where she was reportedly found by Hollywood. Well, hard-boiled detective story writer James M. Cain once lived in Burbank. There's where he lived. He wrote The Postman Always Rings Twice while renting that property in 1934. I had no idea he was lived in Burbank when he.
It's on Bel Air between Cedar and Providence.
Now, the neat thing about James M. Cain was a Raymond Chandler, one of these pulp fiction writers. He came up with a great description of what Hollywood was like in the 1930s, and the theme was these people, these madmen, have put a city where no city belongs because there's no water, and then there's Burbank. Here's this place with no water, and it's in the middle of this valley, and what, you know. And I've been looking for that quote, and I haven't found it.
Anyway, here we have the Burbank Villa Hotel there, and once again the Burbank Block Building with the cupola, and the little-known Burbank Times. If you saw my display at the library, I have an original bound edition of the original Burbank Times newspapers. And we find a lot of very interesting things in there. The news that they reported back then was mostly about pigs, cattle, and what to do with your grain on a rainy day.
Sheep.
Sheep also. Anyway, this is looking up Olive Avenue shortly after the founding of Burbank, showing the old Boom Time Hotel. I wish that hotel was still there. It's where the Burbank Post Office is now. And there's another close-up of it. It was built in 1887, built at a cost of $30,000. That was a lot of money.
And you see this word again and again when they say it's pretentious in style. They're actually meaning that's a good thing, pretentious in a good way. And it was later called the Santa Rosa Hotel. And one of the hotel's most faithful and illustrious day guests was film star Billy Burke. From 1954, so we had Good Witch Glenda from the west, east, south, I don't remember part of location.
I still want to know if she wrote the bubble in there, though. And here's the Burbank Main Post Office, and most everybody's familiar with that, which is now dedicated to the Bob Cole Post Office. Anyway,
oh yeah, that's my house when I lived in Burbank.
This is Wes's place.
It's not on the National Historical Register of Places. Not yet. I'm hoping you all write to the DC and let them know.
And here's the Sunset Canyon Country Club. This is the original building, which is up in the canyon off of Country Club Drive.
Not to be confused with the Mormon church building.
No, that's the second country club. Anyway, bottom line, this one was built up there, and they formed a golf club. This was a place where people from Hollywood came. We were Burbank was once the Palm Springs of Hollywood. People came over here, and they rented all those properties up there, and they were allowed to build houses on it, which are now owned by individuals. But the bottom line is you have the likes of Frank Sinatra's drummer. I looked up in the building records of all of those places up there, and their names repeat. Very famous people live on there. And Johnny Weissmuller, Tarzan, from the Tarzan movie. He later bought this building because it has an Olympic-sized pool behind it. You know, he was an Olympic swimmer.
So wouldn't that be cool to hear like Tarzan screams going down Sunset Valley, Sunset Canyon?
If you're adventurous, as you go up over the little hump that goes up over past the dam there, and you come down, there's a little area out that way. You can walk, and the foundation of this building is still there. As the wash has moved the mud over the years, the pool is visible partially, and the cabanas that are there, everything.
And remember, roll your window down, do a Tarzan scream.
Yeah. Here's the pool. You can actually see the railing up there, and it's all painted nice blue still, even though it's been buried for over 50 years. Here's my daughter, Erin, who's sitting over here in the corner, and she is holding the old picture of it, and that's the canyon right there where right in that little wash there are all of the ruins of
Yeah, I like these McDaniel in now.
And this is the second country club up there. It was built in 1927, well, started in 26, finished in 27, as the golf clubhouse. It was purchased by the Mormon Church in 1939. In 1927, the fire, somebody started a brush fire on the far side of up in La Cunada. It burned the hillside. They said that the fire was so intense you could feel the heat all the way down to Kenneth Road. And it destroyed pretty much everything. In the winter of 28, all of the rains came down and washed all the mud down and buried the golf course. And ruined the country club. They tried to fix it. You see documents where they said that they were trying to raise money, but it was a big loss. The city operated it for 5 years for a total profit of $5. And the city allowed it to go abandoned, and some construction folks who were members of the church had to crawl through those doors, the two archways there. They had to crawl through those doors because they completely collapsed. And to look at the building, and they decided that it could be remodeled into a church, and talked to the church into buying it.
Mike McDaniel is the building expert on this building. I promise you, he's got tons of stories.
I have tons of material.
Tunnel into the hill.
Yeah, in Prohibition, it was a speakeasy. And there's two tunnels, and the tunnels are still there. They go up into, one goes into Palm Park so they could escape raids. It also is the only Mormon church which has a full wine cellar. The racks are still there for the bottles, and there's 4 very huge supported areas where the casks would go. And they were larger than 55 gallons. They're huge. So, but anyway, it's the only.
Okay, we got to move off this.
I love it. Here we are. Okay, Burbank's another notable place. The Portal of the Folded Wings. Has anybody been out there? Does anybody go out to the Lockheed Museum that's in there?
Yeah, it's got a great aviation museum.
Yeah, there's lots of great things to see there, and to see all of the important pioneers of aviation that are buried out there.
And my parents are very unified.
Yes. And most of you remember all of the famous pilots that have come through here all over the years. And this was the opening of the museum. Does anybody remember this little place?
You can see it all from all around the valley floor, right?
Yeah. It was up on that hillside, and for years as I drive out on the Golden State, you can see that little thing just sitting all alone up there. Anyway, it's now down in the back of the church that's up there. And Mother Cabrini, she led a procession up there, and
well, no, she didn't. She didn't lead it. That's from the 1957 newspaper article.
Mother Cabrini put it up there to bless the church area there and to make sure that it was guarded. Anyway, bottom line, it went, and they had to move it down the hill. But every year they'd lead a procession up there.
America's first canonized saint.
There are some other pictures of it. Moved in the late 1973, early 74, Cabrini Villa construction of it.
Well, they were building Cabrini Villa where my in-laws lived. They had to get rid of this. They had to find a place for it. They didn't want it destroyed, so they moved it. And they moved it down here.
And there it is. It now has a library which has been added to it. The piece to the right, or to the left, is the actual chapel. And it's been renovated. And it's only open 4 times or 5 times a year, I think, according to the sign on the door.
But it's this neat Burbank building.
Anyway, most of you remember the Olive Stadium, I'm pretty sure. It's a very nice building. It was a military facility originally, and they have, as you can plainly see, we've got a little bit of an anchor flag.
Yeah, it looked like a Brazilian flag to me until I blew it up and I saw it was a Navy flag.